Last class we introduced you to the long run average cost curves. We drew your attention to their shape. We drew your attention to the three portions: increasing returns, constant returns, decreasing returns to scale. Pointed out that the first part refers to economies of scale, the last part to diseconomies of scale. We described them and gave you a definition of what the various elements mean. What it is showing you is the lowest cost production, average cost per unit, when you are making an increasing volume, when you can vary all the all the factors of production. In other words, all the factors of production can be changed. It's the planning curve. You're planning how much capital and how much labor, to say it simply, given the state-of-the-art of the technology which exists, and of course given existing prices. There's got to be an existing price for labor and an existing price for capital. We're going to just look at capital and labor and simplify it. So we're going to look at labor and we're going to look at capital. Capital are man-made aids to production. Labor is what it more or less obviously is. And we're going to look at how you actually combine labor and capital to get the lowest cost production. Let's look at what is one of the most important forms of machinery, not the only machine, but computing. Computing power. There's hardly a machine in existence now, a modern machine, that does not have a computer brain. Not just necessarily the computer itself, but most machinery is computer controlled. Sometimes whole banks of machines are computer controlled. Giant factories wired together in computer controlled apparatus, in computer controlled systems. The cost per calculation has been going down since I was a child, which, kids, you must know is a long, bloody long time ago. That's been going down continuously. Now, what about the productivity of the machine? What about its contribution to production? Well, even though the cost of the computing is falling, the cost per calculation is falling, the capability of this thing, which is still a kind of modest type computer, the capability of this thing is rising. And of course the capability of servers are rising. So of course, isn't this charming? So we're going to talk about cost. We want low cost. Low cost makes power. We've discussed this with Google. We've discussed it with Microsoft. So then the question becomes, when you're planning, when you're doing this planning, what are the elements you look at? Well, again, you know how to make economic decisions. You have to look at cost and benefit. From the point of view of someone running a productive capacity, what's the benefit? Well, the benefit of using labor and the benefit of using capital is you get output from them. We'll call it marginal product. We're going to look at the marginal product of capital. So, if we're going to use capital, which are man-made aids to production, basically, let's call them machines for want of something to give you an image. So, the marginal product of machines. In other words, when you employ a machine, what does it make? And marginal means if you add an extra machine, how much extra production do you get? Now, of course, at the same time, there has to be a price for the machine. Cost benefit. This is the benefit of using the machine. That's what you have to give up to use the machine, the price of the machine. Now remember, we are trying to find the lowest cost production. We're profit maximizing, as your notes plainly tell you, where pi is a symbol for profit. We're trying to minimize cost so we can maximize profit. So we are trying to combine capital and labor so you have the lowest possible cost to produce it. That this course will help you navigate the storms that are now going to afflict all of us.